Oh, I knew looking at the camera. Is that where I'm? Okay, I just want to make sure I'm here, bro.
You good now?
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, let's get it, bro.
All right. You ready? You ready for this?
Hello, audience.
We got another Couch Potato General Manager video here, and we're jumping into the NFL, the 2020 NFL Draft recaps. We're starting with the NFC North and the much discussed Green Bay Packers and their 2020 NFL Draft class. And gentlemen, we're going to address the elephant in the room right off the bat. We don't want to spend too much time beating a dead horse, but certainly we want to bring it up. And it's not so much that Green Bay opted to trade up and select Jordan Love despite having Aaron Rodgers at the helm, but the fact that they didn't really do a whole lot to improve the weaponry, the pass catching options in Green Bay during the draft. So Hedley, I just wanted to get your thoughts on this approach overall. To this point, Aaron Rodgers has thrown one touchdown pass to a receiver drafted in the first round during his entire career, a Hall of Fame career. And from my perspective, it just seems, counterintuitive to have an aging veteran who obviously can still play at a high level, but not do everything in your power to put him in the optimal position to succeed, particularly when you're 4 quarters away from a Super Bowl appearance. So, Hedley, what's your thoughts on this whole situation?
Yeah, it was mind blowing because you come into the 2020 NFL draft and the deepest position was wide receiver. They had so many wide receivers. I think Drew said it, man. Like the top 15 wide receivers in this class is probably better than your wide receiver 2 on your team. We're talking about the Green Bay Packers. So it was just head scratching. When they drafted Jordan Love in the first round, they traded up for him. I was like, you know what? Let's see what they do for the rest of this draft. They identify a quarterback, that's their guy. And I think for Jordan Love's sake, that this is the perfect opportunity. It's a perfect place to be in, not having to start right away because, some technique issues, just decision-making issues. He's behind in that aspect, but the arm talent, the arm angles he throws from, the place he makes outside of the pocket, it's all excellent. So if he gets to sit 1 or 2 years, then, you can move on from Aaron Rodgers if you choose to. But, bringing up the not drafting a wide receiver in the first round, the second round, the third round, I didn't understand it.
Yeah, mind blown. And I was really upset with the Jordan Love pick, but like you said, Hedley, I was thinking, okay, they're thinking about the future. I get it from that standpoint. Who was on the board at that point? Ayuk had just gotten picked there, so now you have a T. Higgins, you got a Michael Pittman Jr. Sitting there, you got a Denzel Mims sitting there. I mean, you had some receivers still sitting there you could have taken. Instead, they go Jordan Love. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I'm sitting at the house and I'm like, I'm shocked, but at the same time, I'm not, because this is what Green Bay has done. This has been the theme of what they've done, whether they don't add anything in free agency, although that got turned around this past year or this 2 seasons ago. You figure, okay, they're going to take their shot here in the draft, and they don't do that. They go and they get, Jordan Love, and it's not so much. It's not even so much the first pick. It's not okay. All right, you didn't get a receiver with the first pick. All right, cool. I understand that's the quarterback of the future. All right, let's come back around in the second round. Let's do the right thing. And at the end of the day, they didn't get a receiver at all. Yeah, I mean, mine's blown, man. Mine's blown. But they're looking to the future. So with a Hall of Famer still on the squad, and this is a team who was 1 game away from going to the Super Bowl, and obviously they were exploited. They couldn't stop the run, which they didn't address in the draft either, and they had no weapons outside of Davante Adams out on the outside. So I'm trying to, what's really going on?
Outfitting this roster with some more perimeter weapons, and then certainly bolstering the run defense. And as Drew pointed out, they really didn't do much of that. We'll get to Kamal Martin, the linebacker out of Minnesota that they selected on day 3. But let's talk about what they were actually trying to do. And of course, we've already alluded to the fact that they're looking to the future with Jordan Love. Hedley, you mentioned it. There's a lot of talent, a lot of arm talent there, but he's rough around the edges.
I saw a lot of throws where, and these are the throws that I was like, oh, whoa, where you going with the football? Is I mean, the guy would be covered and still make the throw, or he'd throw it like super late. So I'm not sure if he was. And this may be a combination of both, where you're not you're not confident in the guy you're throwing the football to, but at the same time, you're not confident in what you're seeing. And let's go back to the 2018 tape where he threw tons of touchdowns and very a few picks here or there, but it was in the single digit area. And that's the quarterback I think that Green Bay thinks they're getting. And if you have him sit, you learn the system, because obviously, he lost a bunch of talent in 2019. He's throwing the guys, that just aren't up to par. And he's in a new system. So bad things are going to happen, right? So I think that, Green Bay's thought here is, okay, we're going to sit him. We're going to sit him. He's going to learn our system. And we're going to get 2018 Jordan Love. I mean, because people are, hey, he's a new Patrick Mahomes, and they may have gotten something here if they're getting 2018 Jordan Love. Are they getting that guy? I have no idea.
So I guess that's where my question is, and this is for both of you. Yes, we've alluded to a couple of the areas where we think precipitated kind of the drop off in 2019, from 2018. But Helen, when you're watching that tape, what makes you believe that the Packers can get 2018 Jordan Love out of him?
It's just technique in his lower half and also decision making. So if you're in an offense, in this Green Bay offense for 2 years, 3 years, and you understand what everything is and the decisions you have to make, you can improve in that. You know what I'm saying? So, and the talent speaks for itself, man. The arm talent, he might have one of the best arms in his class. And he's not just a power thrower, man. He even knows how to, take something off the ball, and be accurate on touch passes also. So, different arm angles outside the pocket. We see what Patrick Mahomes doing. He's not Patrick Mahomes, but at the same time, he has a lot of those same traits that Mahomes had at Texas Tech.
What's the difference? What's the difference between him and Patrick Mahomes?
I mean, Patrick Mahomes got more juice. I think Patrick Mahomes got a little bit more athleticism. I think Patrick Mahomes is a little bit is more accurate.
From the collegiate rank to the pro rank, is that how you feel, Drew? That in your evaluation of Mahomes coming out of Texas Tech, that there was a substantial disparity between him and Jordan Love?
Yeah, I would have to say so. It's a huge disparity, I think. And I'm thinking of all the crazy on the dime throws that he would make.
See. So here's my thing on that. I watched a lot of Patrick Mahomes. Right? And over the course of his tenure as a starter, I counted 27 throws that hit the defensive back in both hands and wasn't caught. You understand what I'm saying? Here's where I ultimately come out, and I agree that Mahomes was a better prospect than Jordan Love coming out. Mahomes, obviously, and we expect Jordan Love to have the opportunity to sit, learn how to prepare, so on and so forth. Mahomes played for Andy Reid.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day,
that's big.
And I get the idea of trying to get your guy. If you think a guy has a unique skill set and he has this immense ceiling, and given the time to kind of get steeped in your coaching, and of course every offensive coordinator thinks they can fix a guy, they can bring out the best in a guy, but no one in the league currently, in my opinion, does it better than Andy Reid. I don't think anybody comes close outside of maybe a Sean Payton. I think that's really where the list ends, to be perfectly honest with you. So I get it. I get the allure. I certainly get the allure, but this transition, it's going to be an interesting one. And to your point, he does have the opportunity to sit. It's going to be, how patient are they going to be with this guy? Aaron Rodgers has mentioned that he wants to play into his 40s. I don't know if he'll be playing for Green Bay into his 40s, but certainly I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to take this lying down. So moving on, let's move on to the day 2 of the draft and talk about A.J. Dilllon, the running back out of Boston College, Drew. I personally, I'm a fan. I don't know that this is the greatest fit. I think he will be fine in his own scheme, but gap, ISO, power, he's more of a throwback running back in that respect. So, but with that being said, I expect him to have a substantial role, if not this year, certainly next year, with Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams both in the last year of their deals.
Yeah, people have likened him to Derrick Henry. I don't think he's quite that type of back in terms of putting him on like he's trained on a track. I think he's got a little bit more juice, a little bit more wiggle to him. And I think this is a guy who, when he gets in the open field, it might be a touchdown. As big as he is and as physical as he is,
I think they're very similar in that way.
I think so. So to me, I think that I don't know that you line up Derrick Henry, you tell him, hey, I need you to go through the 2-hole, and he's going to run all the way through the 2-hole. And as he makes it to the 3rd level, you see him kind of veer off and get over to the sideline. I think Dilllon, he's going to run through the 2-hole, and about the 2nd level, he's already heading towards the sideline. But I think he has a little bit more wiggle to him. He can make people miss. He can break tackles like Derrick Henry, but I think there's just a little bit more wiggle to him, man. You know what I'm saying? You see me? Can you see me? A little bit more wiggle.
You trying to say a more wiggle Derrick Henry?
Wiggle Henry. Yeah. Okay. All right. Yeah.
Praise.
That is high
That means he'll
praise.
take over the league.
And I'm a big fan of AJ Dillon. Don't get me wrong. I don't know if he has Derrick Henry's stiff arm.
Yeah, definitely, man. It's funny you said the stiff arm because in my notes I have uses his stiff arm very well. So he does have the stiff arm. He's very hard to bring down. I think immediately he's going to be in their short yardage package. You know, the Packers kind of struggle a little bit on short yardage. Jamal Williams, Aaron Jones, not really those physical bruising type of running backs. So you insert A.J. Dillon in those packages right away, and he's going to help your offense. So, you know, I do like A.J. Dillon to the Packers. It's just that wide receiver. Where is that wide receiver, man? And can A.J. Dillon impact the Packers as much as a wide receiver would right here in the 2nd round?
That kind of brings us to our next pick in the 3rd round. The Packers selected tight end, kind of H-back, fullback, Josiah Deguara. And this kind of speaks to exactly what the Packers are trying to do. And we saw it last year. This offense moved away from the back shoulder fades, you know, at the goal line. And you know what I mean? And it became, once they were inside the 20, it was Aaron Jones' time. Aaron Jones had 16 TDs on the ground, if I'm not mistaken. You know what I mean? So they're certainly trying to run the football, and they're trying to get this outside zone really going.
This Deguara pick has a lot to do with what the Packers wanted to do. If you think back to their last game against the San Francisco 49ers, they saw it firsthand what an effective run game could do. You know, Garoppolo didn't even have to pass the ball in that game. I don't think he had like 8 attempts. It was ridiculous. So, you know, the students, which is LaFleur, saw what the teacher, the master did in Shanahan, and I think he wants to mirror that. And I think Deguara is a perfect fit in this offense. He's a versatile move tight end. He can line up anywhere on the football field. Skilled route runner, routes are crisp, but what he does in the zone blocking game, he moves very well. He moves in space, and he could block for Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon.
You pretty much took everything, bro. I don't know what else to say about the guy. When you compare him to Juszczyk for the 49ers, like you said, that's kind of the role that they want him to play. And you kind of start to see, and again, you know, for most drafts, when you get to the 3rd or 4th round, you kind of see what the team wants to do, you know, and so I guess this is the future, right? We're gonna run the football. We're gonna use Deguara in ways to create mismatches against the defense. The strong safeties, the free safeties, or whomever it is that he lines up against the nickel corner, and try to create a mismatch. And I guess the pitcher's coming in. It's coming into focus for me. I'm just not happy with it right now.
Their first pick on day 3, the Packers selected Kamal Martin out of Minnesota. He played, you know, at defensive end at one point, hand to ground defensive end. Then they had him, you know, primarily covering the slot, and then they kind of settled on him being an off-the-ball linebacker. He has some athleticism. I think coaching is what's going to have to unlock him. You know what I mean? One of the things that I can appreciate is his versatility. The fact that he was banged up, injured this past season may have contributed to it, but he missed a lot of tackles. He missed a lot of tackles this past season, so or throughout his career for that matter. So, Drew, what do you think about Kamal Martin?
I thought he was excellent in space and coverage and zone coverage. Thought he had the feel for what things, you know, cover up the spaces that the quarterback was looking in, keeping his eyes on the quarterback, moving around in zone coverage. I thought that, you know, at the point of attack, I thought that he could take on the block, kind of stymie the block, kind of, and then that was kind of it. Couldn't really shed the block, and that maybe speak to the fact that he was injured in the games that I saw. But I don't know, man. When you talk about a team whose center of their defense was marshmallowy, when you talk about the run game being able to be run on, I don't know if this is the guy that you want there. Again, this is a 5th round pick. Again, he was injured. They know things we don't. Maybe him healthy. Maybe he's shedding those blocks and making those tackles and being that centerpiece in the defense. I know obviously they have Christian Kirksey that they signed in the offseason, who obviously in the 5th, 6th round. These are wait and see picks unless you just steal a guy. This for me right here is a wait and see pick. Just because of that injury and the type of linebacker that I think he is. Although, he's all about going downhill. He's all about going downhill. He didn't win enough for me.
Yeah, he could go downhill. He's, like you said, he's aware in the passing game. This in coverage shows awareness there. The issue I had with him was he plays a bit upright, so that doesn't make him play with that lean to bring that force. Can't disengage that well. He needs to improve his strength. But I think he probably got to make his way on special teams and make the team there, and hopefully could develop some more strength along the way. So we'll see. He's a wait and see pick.
I agree. The thing about it is, though, over recent years, that Green Bay has had so many injuries at the second level of their defense. You know what I mean? This is a situation where Martin could be thrust in because, of course, Kirksey, the free agent acquisition, he's had concerns, and then Orrin Burks, who we really like, hasn't been able to play football. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy and stay on the field. So, Kamal Martin could find himself on the field sooner rather than later. And like I said, I think it's going to take some coaching to truly unlock him. But he does offer some skills and a willingness to get downhill, which is desperately needed in terms of this run defense. In the 6th round, the Green Bay Packers, they selected a trio of interior offensive linemen, the first of which being Jon Runyan Jr., the son of Jon Runyan Sr. So, Hadley, what do you think about Jon Runyan out of Michigan?
I think he had some underrated athleticism. He's gonna move from outside to inside. Yeah, I think he can fit in his zone scheme. Identity of this Packers draft, like you said, is drafting A.J. Dilllon, getting Deguara, adding these 3 interior offensive linemen. So, definitely Green Bay showing what they want to do in this draft is run the football.
For me, with Runyan, I thought, watching his tape that if he got his punch out, if he got his hands on you, it was a wrap. I think that's maybe what they're counting on. Obviously, like you said, he's probably going to be pushed inside with the shorter arms because a lot of times when he lost, it was not because he was overpowered or anything like that. It was just the guy across from him just could reach and get to him before he could get to them. And so, if they're putting him out at tackle, they're doing this man a disservice. And they're setting himself up for failure, but I would imagine he's going to be pushed inside the guard. So I like the player. I like his physicality. You spoke about his athleticism. So I think it's a good pick as long as you're pushing him inside. And again, he's a 6th round pick. But again, in Green Bay, they've developed offensive linemen. That's one of the positions that they do develop well, I think. So I think this could be a good pick and a guy that you're going to see there for a while.
All right. And as far as Jake Hansen, the center out of Oregon, and Simon Stepanek, guard out of Indiana, what are your thoughts on those 2 players?
So with Hansen, for me, I thought that he was an athletic guy. I thought that he could get to the second level, help at the second level. But I thought, again, we're talking about a 6th round pick. I thought, he lacked some awareness in terms of, looking for the free rusher, the late rusher. I thought that he was a guy who's got some technique issues where he'll lean and kind of lunge into blocks and fall off blocks and different things like that. And he looked to be a shorter arm guy as well. But again, you're playing center. But again, he's got good feet, and that's kind of what you want from your center, to be able to move out and get out there and get on blocks. So.
Yeah, I agree, man. The movement ability, he brings it 4 quarters, man. So, right there at that pivot position, man, you want a guy, like you said, that can move around. I think he might struggle with strength. If I'm a defensive coordinator, I'm putting the guy right over him and trying to bully him. But this offense, man, he does fit the scheme.
This is a guy who walled off defenders well, and I thought he was a phone booth bully. I didn't think that he was a guy that can get out on the edge and make things happen. It's gonna sound ridiculous, but I thought he struggled on double teams, man. He would just, I don't know. There was no push with the double team. I'm not sure if he was like, hey, I got some help, so I ain't gotta do too much here. or he would miss on the double team on his side if the defender started to come his way. It was kind of silly and ridiculous, but just kind of what I saw from him.
Yeah, I think he's a mover of men. He's a strong guy. He has traits. So I think this is just a potential upside pick this late in the draft. Just to compete, man. Compete on the interior with Hansen, Runyon, and the guys they have there currently.
So with their final two picks, both in the 7th round, the Packers selected Vernon Scott, the safety out of TCU, and edge rusher Jonathan Garvin out of Miami, Florida. So Drew, what do you think about these two prospects?
What I saw from Mr. Vernon Scott was they used him in a variety of ways, in the slot, free safety, strong safety. But I thought, watching the tape, I thought this guy was a headhunter. I thought he was a striker. I thought he was a guy to come down and box and knock people's heads off. I thought that, he looked most comfortable when he was in zone coverage, where he could kind of keep his eyes on the quarterback, although at times that got him in a little bit of trouble. But that's kind of what I saw from Scott. And then Garvin, Jonathan Garvin. Every time I look at a Miami player, I just shake my head because they just ain't got it, man. They got guys out of position, and usually that's the type of stuff you see, in the Big 12, sometimes in the Pac-12, and you just kind of shake your head like, yeah, I don't know what that guy's going to be in at this point. For Garvin, I feel kind of the same way. He has a really good bull rush, but my man needs about 4 steps to get it going, and there's really no explosiveness off the snap or anything like that. But if he's able to get that bull rush going, he's going to be a problem.
There's talent there, but there's questions about the motor, and the drive, and that has to be in you. I know some coaches can unlock another level of that, but certainly that has to be in you. I think, to your point, Miami at times kind of played him out of position. I think ideally he's a edge rusher in an even man front, not necessarily a stand-up outside linebacker in 3-4. So we'll see if he can continue to develop. I thought he's solid against the run. I think he competes in that aspect. But it's kind of hit or miss in terms of his pass rush. I think you want him setting a physical edge and getting upfield more often than not.
Again, I'm gonna go back to framing the picture, about making the picture of when someone's starting to draw something, you're not really sure what it is, and by the end of it, you kind of understand where they're coming from and what they're trying to do. My issue here is this isn't a game plan for this year. This is a game plan for the future. But I go back to, you are one game away from being in the Super Bowl, and I don't know if they looked at the Super Bowl and said, even if we made it, we don't beat them. You probably don't. But I'm trying to wrap my head around, why didn't we just solve the problem of adding another weapon in the passing game? And that may speak to Rodgers and they say, hey, he's not a timing and rhythm player. He's more of kind of playing out of the rhythm of the offense, and maybe they're trying to hone that in by not giving him what he needs to do that.
Done that though.
No, but you're right. You're right. And again, this is a different coaching staff, so maybe they're going to ask, hey, we need you to play within the framework of the offense. I understand you got the Hall of Fame talent, and I think maybe it's one of those things where we want you to play within the framework of the offense, and when it's not working, then you do what you do.
I just don't think that's the issue here. You understand what I'm saying? I get it. In this particular offense, they talked about it ad nauseum heading into the season last year. You're not going to the quarterback's not necessarily going to have the same flexibility to make those checks. And not that he doesn't audible, not that he doesn't do certain things, but they've reined that in because, obviously the coach, this scheme is designed in a certain way. So while I understand that, I think in order to operate based on the timing within the confines of the offense, you have to have the players to do so. You have to have the supporting cast to do so. If guys aren't getting open when they should be open, when Rodgers hits the 3rd, 5th, or 7th step of his drop, then yes, he has to go into kind of that ad lib routine and extend the play, bounce around, get in and out of the pocket. Then it becomes one of those situations. Now, while he has proven throughout his career that he's terrific at that, and that has generally been where the Packers have generated their big plays, down in and down out, that they can consistently beat man coverage. That's where we're at right now. And for a team to have that weakness on top of their run defense, all right, but only be 4 quarters away from a Super Bowl berth, and then to go into this draft with an exceptionally deep receiver class, it's a head scratcher without question.
like you said, it don't make sense, man, with the receivers in this class not to come away with at least one of them. I think this is just LaFleur trying to be like Shanahan, you know what I'm saying? The teacher, Kyle Shanahan, and trying to get that run game going. But even Kyle Shanahan has drafted Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuels in back-to-back drafts.
I mean, Jalen Hurd, Trent Taylor. I mean, we could keep going on and on. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like they've put capital. And don't get me wrong. Just a couple seasons ago, they drafted 3 receivers, but those were all later picks, and they haven't worked out. So, and this crop of receivers, I mean, you could have gotten a Tyler Johnson in the 5th round. I'm not even suggesting that you needed a guy that could line up outside the numbers. Just give him a dependable slot guy who can consistently create space and get open and show his numbers and help matriculate the ball down the field. It's a bit of a head scratcher. You could have improved for now with an eye to the future, and you didn't. In my eyes.
Devin Funchess, they added him in free agency. So maybe, you know, they're comfortable with Devin Funchess out there to compete with Valdez-Scantling. And Lazard came strong last season. He flashed. He shows a big deep threat element, man. It's just I want him to get a guy that could get the yards after the catch, and they didn't come away with that guy.
Make things a little bit easier. Make things a little bit easier. You got some big targets with large catch radiuses, but not guys who are consistently creating separation and making plays after the catch outside of Davante Adams. All right?
Yep.
All right, that's going to do it for our 2020 Green Bay Packers NFL Draft recap. Please like and subscribe.